Sup flappers, welcome back to another video brought to you by Erotic Walrus. So today we are going to talk about Kazuha in post banner. Alright, so his banner's been around for a couple days now. I've got him, I played him, I've been just going to town testing everything I can think of regarding Kazuha. So now I do feel like I am qualified to be sitting here telling you whether in hindsight was Kazuha worth it. Should you pick him up? And maybe we'll jump in a couple scenarios as to where you are, who you currently have, and whether Kazuha is going to bring your game to the next level, right? Is the investment going to be worth it? Now, before we start, do remember that the term a must pull is really used for people who cares greatly about their investments into characters. While some may not care about who is best and who is more worth it, please respect those who do care. And if you see someone needing help down in the comments, do help them out. These kind of videos, while are entertaining to some, others really try to use these videos as anchor point to whether decide to pull for these characters or to skip and wait for someone else. So with that said, if this video is what you're looking for, maybe watch through to the end and see if it deserves a like and maybe if the channel deserves a subscribe, okay? So let's get into Kazuha. First and foremost, I want to say that Kazuha is a very powerful unit who is also surprisingly well balanced by MiHoYo. That being said, I do think that he is also what I would consider a preferential unit. What does that mean? It means that currently in the game, Kazuha doesn't really bring anything new. Instead, he rehashes old amazing tools that already exist in the game that are used by other characters who have been proven to be successful. And MiHoYo is just rehashing it. Think about it like this. You have a spoon and then you have a fork, and together, bam, now you have a spork, right? That is essentially what Kazuha is, but not really. A spork doesn't behave like a fork, right? You can't poke as deep, but at the same time, it's not fully a spoon because things are gonna leak out from the tip. So it's not perfect, but it has elements of both, and that's what Kazuha currently sits like for me. And I just do want to emphasize that MiHoYo is indeed getting better at making these units, with each new unit finding creative ways for us to enjoy the game. And keynote here, enjoy, right? Kazuha's playstyle has been a breath of fresh air for someone like me. I really enjoy fast-paced gameplay. I do want to those quick scenes in like an anime show where characters are just dashing and you can barely see them. It's like that adrenaline feeling, that punch, it's that shonen dream that we all want to be the protagonist, that feels like we are untouchable. And that's what Kazuha makes me feel like. It makes my team feel more untouchable. It feels like we're on the next level almost. It feels amazing to play. However, that being said, does the damage output, let's say, justify exactly, well, time to scrap my entire current team? Let's say you currently have Venti, you're currently running Diluc. Should you just forego Venti? Is Venti obsolete? Absolutely not. In fact, there are certain things that Kazuha does that is similar to Venti, but it doesn't stack up fully to what Venti is capable of. So the key point here in this segment is, what I want you to understand is Kazuha is a lot of fun to play, and I think the community has echoed this consensus. However, there isn't anything new to Kazuha. It's the same thing, just kind of transformed in a different way and added a couple other elements from other characters into this one character to give us a more unique experience with Anemo with Swirl. And I think at this point it's safe to say, going forward, new units such as Ayaka, Yoimiya will also follow suit, as I think MiHoYo has indeed found a sweet spot for these characters. And we shouldn't have to worry saying, well, is Kazuha going to be better than Ayaka? Is going to be better than Yoimiya? The point here is that MiHoYo is going to make sure every single character is going to start making you question this. And when every single character start making you think, well, this character is really good, but wouldn't the next one be better? And then the next one is just as good, right? It's just as good in their own category. Now that we mentioned Ayaka and Yoimiya, and maybe even potentially the Electro Archon, I want to quickly touch on this, because I know you guys are curious. Should I say for Ayaka? Should I say for Yoimiya? Or is Kazuha going to be the best choice overall? Now, I think you guys may have heard this saying that if you're going to invest in something, invest in supports first, because supports can be taken into different areas of the game, and sometimes they can double as support DPS. It can just give more flexibility to your teams. And Kazuha is certainly someone that brings flexibility, options, gives you more ways to build teams and to play the game. So in my honest opinion, if both Ayaka and Yorimiya are going to be main DPS units, you're really gonna have to be huge simps for those characters if you want to skip Kazuha, because I think Kazuha just has more application. I've been trying to test teams with him, running some number tests, and every team just seems to be pretty good, with exception to, of course, Geo teams, because Geo and Anemo just doesn't do anything together. But Kazuha has opened doors that I didn't even know existed. More creative ways for me to enjoy the game. But going back to the first point that I made, is he a must pull? No, he isn't. Just because you have more ways to play the game doesn't make each of those ways meta breaking or trend setting. They're just fun and creative ways to play the game, kind of like Cryo Kaching, but more viable. There are definitely some teams that are for pure enjoyment and self-satisfaction as opposed to being viable in the Abyss or whatnot. In the end, Kazuha, like I said, is just a culmination of different Anemo characters such as Venti's Vortex and Sucrose's Disruption with EM distribution. Does this really make him good enough to pick up? The answer is gonna be no. The reason is that Sucrose is just as good at disrupting enemies, and damage output given higher constellations is also going to be better for Sucrose because she just has more constellations for free-to-plays to have access to. For most people, you will have Kazuha at Constellation 0 and likely a couple constellations on Sucrose. Similarly, is Kazuha going to be better than Venti? Well, in some ways, yes, and that is by design. But just because you can buff your team through Elemental Mastery, scaling does not make it viable. Now, I talked about a Spork, right? Venti is Venti because of the kit that he has, the Vortex, the Swirl, the huge number ticks. If Kazuha comes and tries to compete at being a Spoon by being a Spork, of course you're gonna lose. The Spoon is always gonna be more Spoon than a Spork. Similarly, you go compare Kazuha to Sucrose and you try to compare a Spork to a Fork, you're still gonna lose. It's just for very particular people who want a Spork. He's here and he's available. And I think this is done by design. MiHoYo is starting to create these hybrid characters to try to fill niche players who want this type of playstyle. Although I wouldn't call it niche because the quick swap, fast-paced samurai is anything but niche. However, in the end, the Electro Archon will be coming in about a patch, 2 patches, and if you're gonna pick up an Archon, I would imagine Constellation 1 is gonna be pretty high value. So maybe if you can skip some of these characters and you already have Venti or you already have a really well-built Sucrose, maybe you can skip and wait for the Archon that is gonna be coming. So that's gonna be it for me. I hope this video has helped you make a final decision, and whatever that may be, I wish you best of luck in that. Make sure to like and subscribe and catch my live stream tonight where we will be talking more about Kazuha and playing the game, maybe even making a YouTube video. We're going to be testing some more teams for Kazuha and hopefully can show you something new that you didn't already know. But with that said, I'll see you all next time. Till then, stay safe and peace.